Hey. Morning, guys. It's Kevin here from Shamanic Rain. About time I got back in front of the camera again. I've been getting pushed pretty hard of recent times to do a few videos for you guys and just to share what's going on in myself and in my world and in the world of shamanism and spirituality and even physicality in the 3D dimensional world. So we're here to share some information, and I quite deliberately started this video today having a drink of grandmother water. Because I woke up this morning very cold in Melbourne here in Australia. I think we've been waking up to below 0 degrees, -1, -2 degrees. So it's pretty cold in the middle of winter at the moment right here. And I woke up this morning feeling grateful running through my veins. And I thought, what is it this morning that I'm most grateful for? And the answer to that was simple: grandmother water. And the question, I guess, is why? Why at this time, in the freezing cold, in the middle of Melbourne, middle of winter, I'm waking up extremely grateful for grandmother water while I'm shaking, realizing how cold it is. And it's simple, really. It's because grandmother water is one of the major tools in our body that regulate body temperature. And from my experience, I find that way too much of humanity is actually dehydrated, way too low on water. Water equals circulation going through the body. That means the blood flow, guys, moving to the proximities of the body. We know when it's cold and wet, our fingertips are frozen like ice. We rub them to keep them warm, stuff them in pockets under our armpits. Our toes find it harder to warm up. And this is the flow of grandmother water through our veins. So I thought, what better way to start a video on a cold morning like this morning than talking about grandmother water? And one of the cheapest ways to, well, ever changing in the terms of price, but one of the cheapest ways to actually regulate our body temperature, look after our health through these great times of transformation and winter that are going on this earth at the moment, or the winter side on this earth in the southern hemisphere anyway. Working at Shamanic Rain, I work with a lot of people with health, emotional issues, and so forth. And one of the things that has become incredibly noticeable to me is the lack of hydration in most people. There's usually physical symptoms. You can know dry lips, face sucked in, things you can see in the physical side that really represent the lack of water that we have in our body at this time. The lack of water goes on to impact how we feel, how we think, how we digest. It impacts us on so many levels of the body, and that's what I want to talk about here today. Obviously, I've started this one off with letting you guys know, but by increasing the flow of grandmother water through our body, we increase our body's ability to regulate temperature. And so what we find is in the colder environments that we're still quite warm within the blood flow of our body, and that the external temperatures don't actually affect us as much anymore. They do say drinking warm water has a better impact on the body. Cold water shrinks down the blood vessels a little bit, and it does take time for the warmth of the digestive system, which now cools, to be able to re-warm back up. So it uses a lot of energy in the body to be able to warm up that cold water and get it to a temperature that's in alignment with our internal regulation measurements. During winter, we notice in a lot of people, arthritis would be probably, and osteoarthritis, these things would be really clear examples of it, that we find as we start to move into the winter period, we start to notice pain in our body a lot more. And one of the major reasons for pain being so prominent in the body actually is a lack of water. So we're running around taking all these painkillers to be able to lessen the amount of pain going on in the body, but we're eating painkillers in order to reduce the pain that grandmother water would be able to, through her inflammatory mechanisms and regulation of hormone exchange through the body, be able to limit the amount of pain that we're feeling in the first place. So if we want to reduce the pain in the body, regardless of the medications, natural or pharmaceutical, that we might be taking, drinking and increasing the flow of grandmother water through the body is actually the easiest way to do that. It's said that we should drink roughly 2 to 2.5 litres of water each day. I know they usually say for men 2.5, for women 2, for children or teenagers about 8 cups, so approximately 1.5, 2 litres. And for younger kids, at least sort of 4 to 6 cups a day of water. Most of us aren't actually drinking that amount of water. This came to my attention a little while ago when I had a lady come in at 72 years of age, and she presented me all of the medications, which was a long list, about this long. I think there was about 13 or 14 medications on her list. And she also presented me a list of why she was taking the medications, specifically what those medications were for. And after addressing the list that she sent me and having a good look at them, searching up the reactions and responses and the situations that these drugs would be used to treat, I discovered very quickly that all of the information on one side of those lists, so all of the reasons that she was taking the medication, actually were all symptoms of dehydration. And there was a lot of medication, something like 13 of them getting taken to counterbalance the dehydration that was going on in the body. But here's the thing about that. You need an excess amount of water to break down the medications to allow them to move through the blood to the proximities to where we need the medication to actually reach the body and perform its magic, if that's what we want to call it, because medication does have a purpose. But we actually need the flow of grandmother water through the body. So if we're already struggling with grandmother water, when we start taking medications, we now need to increase the amount of water that we have, in not only in order to regulate the temperature of the body and regulate the flow of hormone structure and the transition of macronutrients, vitamins and stuff like this through the body. But now we also need to rely on the amount of water that we have to remove the toxins that are a byproduct of the drugs that we're taking. So on the physical side of health, it's incredibly important, especially at this time in the cold, where we start to bring our attention towards grandmother water and really increase her flow. Water is one that has a lot of effect on our physical existence, on these beings that we have borrowed from Pachamama, a massive effect, but it also has a massive effect on our spiritual being as well. Physically and spiritually, we see one of these interreactions take place in our digestive system. We know that if we don't have enough water in the body, we cause a block in our digestive system where our digestive system isn't able to break down the foods and pass them through normal regulation methods throughout the body. So we begin to find ourselves bound and stuck in the stomach. But here's the thing. Our stomach, which houses both the solar plexus and the sacral chakra, are both our major emotional centers. So what we generally find is we reduce the flow of grandmother water through our body. We start to find our emotions as well as our food getting bound up in our stomach, in the sacral and the solar plexus chakras, and our ability to be able to move through and transition through the energetic state and release that which no longer serves begins to diminish in the body. So we begin to find ourselves bound, we begin to find ourselves heavy, we begin to find ourselves more dense energetically and therefore more unstable emotionally. So if we want our emotions to run more freely through our body, and that is one of the teachings of grandmother water, she is the greatest teacher of free flow. But due to the lack of grandmother water in our body, we're not allowing our emotional centers to actually free flow and to be able to release that which is no longer serving. So to unbind our digestive system, we need to drink a lot more water. Depending on the type of foods we're eating, the denser the foods, the more water we need to eat to break those foods down. So for any of you guys out there watching this video, you may have seen it before, you may have recognized it in your body before. And I hope you have, that if we eat light foods like salads and vegetables more often, it takes a lot less water to break down those foods and allow the digestive system to happen. If we eat meals like fish and chips, hamburgers, dense, thick meat, dense, nutrient-dense foods, it takes a lot more effort in our body to be able to break down those foods again and pass them through the body. And while it takes time to break down the foods, it's taking time to be able to break down and stop the digestive process of our emotions passing freely throughout our body once more. We know through research done now in the scientific world, Dr. Emoto is a great example of this. So if any of you haven't seen his research, I do highly recommend you have a bit of a look. But Dr. Emoto has done some amazingly powerful experiments where he shows that water holds memory, that everything that touches water, it absorbs the memory of and therefore becomes. So I consider that water is essentially the hard drive of our body when it comes to storing the memory, just like a computer does on its hard drive. Grandmother is storing the vibrational memory within our body. So at great times of transformation, we have a couple of moons in retrograde at the moment. It is an intense time in the environment for transformation, for change, for the Great Awakening that people are talking about. The Great Awakening means transitioning through our awareness, through our old emotional patterns, and being able to release the memories and the energy vibratorily that no longer serves our body anymore. So it becomes incredibly important at this time of transformation that we start to increase the water flow in our body, allowing these emotions, where possible, to move as freely, to exit out of the body again so we can transition into a higher vibratory state. So as part of our spirituality, as part of our emotional balance and our hormonal balance to maintain the best stability in our lives and the best potential to connect with ourselves on a deeper level, Grandmother Water internally becomes one of the divine keys to this transformation. She's one of the elements of life, the elements of our creation itself. Our bodies are well over 50% in water on the physical structure, but that water also becomes the channel for spiritual energy. It's something I noticed a long time ago in the channeling work that I do. And every time I enter into channeling state, no matter how hydrated my body is beforehand, the energy that spirit are using to come through and to enter into, to utilize the energy in the body and transition from the spirit world into the physical is Grandmother Water. She's like the fuel system that the body requires at this time for us to be able to connect with ourselves on a deeper spiritual level. So those that are wanting to further develop their spiritual gifts, their connection to spirit, their state of channeling, Grandmother Water is one of the essential keys to be able to do this. So I'm letting you guys know this information because I truly want the best for your potential on this planet, for your potential as a human being. And we have a lot of people come in each day asking us, how do we increase our ability to be able to connect with the spirit worlds, to connect with ourselves? And one of the simplest overlooked answers to that question is Grandmother Water, guys. Grandmother Water. She is the medium for our channel, the medium for our spiritual work. She's the medium for the regulation of just about every process that needs to happen in our body to remain naturally. And we should think about this because water falls from the sky. We would think it's free. But at this time, one thing that stands out that I've noticed quite a lot is the water is actually more expensive than the petrol we put in our car. Yet to figure that one out. Why might this be? You can go into a servo, you can complain about the price of petrol, which I do believe is too much and should be a little cheaper. But you know, last time I seen, which I think was yesterday, petrol price was at about $2.20 a litre. I went into the servo, went to the fridge, looked at a bottle of water. A 500ml bottle of water was $4.60, 500ml. 500ml of water at $4.60, 1 litre of petrol at $2.20. I just find that absolutely amazing. I don't know if that's a deliberate act to keep something like water from us or just to make money out of something that we find so essential to our needs, our body, to our progression, to our development, to our evolution of consciousness. But water is something that we need to value on this planet even more, and good quality water without the toxins in it that are flowing into our body that we need water to actually remove from our body is the essential key to be able to move forward. So drinking tap water with high levels of fluoride is not something that I would generally recommend. I know they say fluoride is great for the teeth. Fluoride can be good for the teeth, but fluoride for the teeth is a topical treatment. It's not a treatment internal. If we have too much internal if we have too much of it internally, well, we end up with fluidosis going on in the body where actually it has a reverse effect on our teeth, our health, calcifies our blood vessels, our blood veins, our pineal gland, which is our connection to our hormones, the connection through to the spirit world, all calcifying up from the quality of water that we drink. So not only is it important to remember how essential Grandmother Water is to our being, it's incredibly important to remember that she is also the key to be able to help break down the structures that are chemically put into our body to allow us to flow at our optimum. So we need more water to break down the fluid and other chemicals that are actually in our water. And that's why we tell you guys, where you can, drink pure water, good, healthy water that's unadulterated by chemicals. And unfortunately, a lot of bottled water is adulterated by chemicals, so choose wisely. Pure water is a great option, but we do need to remember when we strip minerals out of the water, we must also put them back into the water. Grandmother has been one of my great teachers on my spiritual journey for teaching me the flow of life, for teaching me the importance of the interconnectedness to all things. So if we want to be able to sit with and understand the teachings of Grandmother Water, the first thing we need to do is honor her, is take the time to regulate her in the body in the way that she is teaching us we require at this time. And through doing so, creating the optimum potential for good health, for good spiritual connection, for enlightenment and joy in our life as we embark on this time of ascension of awareness, on awakening of the great dream weaved together by Grandmother Spider that we are each becoming slowly aware of at this time. So again, on this cold winter's day in Melbourne, I thought what better way to share some beautiful gifts about grandmother water and hopefully inspire you guys to drink more, to be able to connect with yourself, to feel the most vibrant that you can in your lives, and to flow freely without resistance to wherever this universe is trying to guide you to be at this time. In so much love and in so much beauty, with so much gratitude to the essence of Grandmother Water for her teachings, for her ability to nurture, love, and look after us in the great divine feminine. Aho Mat Ekwi Asin.